In Barcelona, Mercedes looked to have finally turned a corner with their W14 and put behind them over a year of difficulty. But while the speed was there was another aspect to come out of the race in Spain that was as, if not more, pleasing to Lewis Hamilton. So stay tuned as we tell you the secret problem Mercedes seemed to have finally solved. What is an F1 simulator? For those of you who've ever seen a driver post an image from inside a Formula 1 team simulator, you can be forgiven for thinking that it's just an expensive version of the kind of gaming rigs people have in their homes, but you couldn't be further from the truth, for while they may look similar, the two are built for entirely different functions. The purpose of a gaming rig and the software that comes with it is pretty obvious. It's built to be entertaining and it gives its users a fun, if not entirely realistic version of driving a car. But the main purpose of an F1 simulator is data gathering. Teams will spend hours upon hours designing not just the hardware, but also the software. And this includes an incredibly detailed version of each circuit in the Formula 1 calendar, with every turn, bump, surface and bend built in. The point of this is not only allow the drivers to practice, something that's particularly important considering how limited on-track testing time is, but it also allows the teams to discover exactly which setup the car needs to be in before it even arrives in the country for the race. While there will still be changes made come the end of free practice, it's the work in the simulator that establishes the base for how the team should prepare, and it can be a vital tool in all F1 teams' arsenal. But it's even more important when new tracks are added to the calendar. The Qatar Grand Prix was introduced in 2021, and Formula 1 will go to Las Vegas later this year, meaning there is no historical data on what the surface or the track will be like. This is where the simulator comes in. Teams will receive exact dimensions from F1 and the FIA, then build it in their simulator, allowing the drivers a first proper taste and a chance to gather that all-important data. Even Hamilton, who was not such a big fan, has come around to the importance of the sim. Wolff said, "The simulator wasn't Hamilton's favourite tool in the past, but I think we developed it to a level that it's quite good and it made it best in class, and he started to see the benefits of it. This fight is so tough that you need to just grab every single marginal gain, and that's why we've progressed together to better understand the car also with the tool of the simulator." Schumacher simulator work saves the day. But even when a team is at racetrack, the simulator is still vitally important. Take the Spanish Grand Prix for example, when a young Mick Schumacher was crucial to Mercedes' success. Mercedes communications director Bradley Lord revealed that Schumacher was in the simulator back in Brackley until the early hours of Saturday morning before being flown to Barcelona for the start of the third and final Spanish Grand Prix practice session. Lord said, "We're always a little careful about saying we're confident, but there's been a lot of hard work back at base. Mick is standing off to my right here, and he's got a few bags under his eyes because he was on the simulator late yesterday. We've made some setup changes that will hopefully improve that one-lap pace, but without compromising the race pace that we saw yesterday in the long runs." Well, it didn't go unnoticed by the drivers as both of them praised Schumacher's efforts. Hamilton said, "Friday was a real struggle with the balance, it was way out of the window," explained Hamilton. "It was very hard to drive, very unpredictable, and then we did some great work overnight. We've got a great team with Mick back in the simulator on Friday night, and he did some great work which helped us get on the right track on Saturday." Mercedes' big but not so obvious problem. Hopefully by now you've got a picture of just how important the simulator is for a team. But what happens when the data from a simulator says one thing and the data from the track says another? Well, then you have a problem. It's rare but can happen, and this means there's something called a correlation problem, or more simply, the simulator is not producing accurate results. Such is the nature of F1 that you would not even be aware this was happening to you until you took to the track for the first time, and this is exactly what Mercedes discovered in 2022. Speaking in April last year, Wolff revealed that the two different sets of data could be separated by up to a second, which in Formula 1 may as well be a lifetime. It was a problem he was confident that could be fixed quickly, but fast forward to April 2023 and the Silver Arrows were still plagued by this issue. As for what causes something like this, the only answer is that something is happening on the track that they're unable to replicate back in the factory, and for Mercedes, that was porpoising. This aerodynamic effect came out of the blue for the team at Brackley, and as a result, all of their expectations for the car proved way off. But while it was more of a problem in 2022, Mercedes still found their data was not lining up with their on-track performance when it came to their car concept. Of course, that all changed come Monaco. Mercedes upgrades had more than just one benefit. After the cancellation of the race in Imola, Mercedes targeted Monaco to unveil their heavily modified car, and Wolff said it was something that could not come soon enough. The team boss said, "We just needed the early season shock to figure out when to drop our old concept. From then on, we only accelerated with the new development direction." And that new direction brought a new front suspension, a revised underbody and other ancillary components. But while it was always unlikely Mercedes were going to shine in Monaco, after all it's a track that they've rarely done well even during their glory years, it was in Barcelona when the world, and even those inside the garage, would get a better idea if this new concept had worked. The answer was a resounding success. The car was quicker, able to beat everyone bar Max Verstappen, and for the first time in a long time, Hamilton looked pleased with the direction the team was going in. After all, it was this concept that Hamilton had been requesting for a long time. Wolff admitted it was a risk, but ultimately one that proved worth taking. But while there was reason to be cheerful on track, there was perhaps even more reason to be off it. For the promising gains made by a result of Schumacher's sim work would only have been possible if the data lined up. So now that the significant problem has been solved, what could it mean for Mercedes going forward? What could this mean for Mercedes and Hamilton? As well as being known for their utter dominance between 2014 to 2020, Mercedes also have a reputation as one of the best developers of a car over the course of the season. Were you to compare any Mercedes offering from the start of a season to what it looked like at the end, the result is an almost entirely different vehicle, and one that's been designed to perform at the maximum of its capabilities, which made the 2021 season all the more frustrating for those working inside Brackley. Try as they might, they just couldn't get that concept to work, and it took a heroic effort to get a single win that year. So now that the concept is better and the correlation is correct, the question is, how good will Mercedes be come the second half of the season? The upgrade package in Monaco was a huge step forward, but with the right concept and the right data, the next upgrade is likely to be even more impactful. And when is that being aimed for? Silverstone. Russell teased as much, saying, "Silverstone we're excited for. I think we'll be in a good place there to fight for a good result. We might have a couple more things coming for Silverstone." So expect a whole new Mercedes come the British Grand Prix. Another big change. We cannot go this whole video without mentioning another minor but significant change to the W14. That's right, the seat. Hamilton had plenty of complaints earlier in the year that the seat of the W14 was way too far forward, sending his own collaboration out of whack. The 7-time world champion complained that he always enjoyed an oversteering car, and that's something that he was unable to focus on in the early W14. He said, "I don't know if people know, we sit closer to the front wheels than all the other drivers. Our cockpit is too close to the front. When you're driving, you feel like you're sitting on the front wheels, which is one of the worst feelings to feel when you're driving a car. If you were driving your car at home and you put the wheels right underneath your legs, you would not be happy when you're approaching the roundabout." So what that does, it just really changes the attitude of the car and how you perceive its movement, and it makes it harder to predict compared to when you're further back and you're sitting closer, more center. It's just something I've really struggled with. Well, the good news for Hamilton is that along with the other upgrades for Monaco, his seat was also changed, putting him in prime position to once again feel in full control of the car. A terrifying thought for his competitors. Hopefully by now you understand just how important correlation between the sim and the racetrack is, and how big of an improvement it could bring to Mercedes' future car. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a release here on the DRS Straight.